Vladimir Putin has today been chairing a meeting with government officials. While the majority of proceedings was of little note, the Russian president did make one arguably interesting admission. The leader has repeatedly sought to suggest that Western sanctions have not caused significant damage to his country, arguing last year that they did not succeed in their aims, but today conceded that the measures may have some effect. Urging officials to avoid unnecessary bureaucracy to support and strengthen the positive trends and increase efficiency, he said, illegitimate restrictions imposed on the Russian economy may indeed have negative impact on it in the medium term. Ukraine's armed forces are planning a counteroffensive in several areas this spring, the country's defense minister Oleksii Reznikov has said. In an interview with Estonia's television channel ERR, Mr. Reznikov said the country's counterattack had been planned. He said, "I am sure that we will continue to liberate temporarily occupied territories, as was done in Kiev, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv and Kherson region. This will all continue." The Ukrainian official went on to say the country needed to defend against Russian troops and contain them. Then we'll go on the counteroffensive. To do this, we need more ammunition to break through their line of defense, he added. Asked about the use of German Leopard 2 tanks, he added, they will be involved in the counteroffensive after the appropriate decision of the General Staff. It is already planned in several directions. It is important to determine the most appropriate moment. It also depends on weather conditions. Meanwhile, reports are coming though of an explosion at a military airbase in Vardyansk, which is in central Crimea. In a post on Telegram, the Russian-appointed head of Crimea, Sergei Aksionov, said an unmanned aerial vehicle was shot down in the Simferopol region. In Bakhmut, Ukraine has admitted Russian forces have made some progress in Bakhmut, the politically symbolic city which has been the focus of months of attrition. Yesterday morning, Volodymyr Zelensky said losing Bakhmut could undermine Ukrainian momentum and support, forcing his side to compromise with Vladimir Putin. Since then, the General Staff of his armed forces said the Russian offensive has had a degree of success. But Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, gave U.S. lawmakers a more optimistic assessment. The Russians have not made any progress whatsoever in and around Bakhmut, he said. So, it's a slaughter fest for the Russians. They're getting hammered in the vicinity of Bakhmut and the Ukrainians have fought very, very well. Reuters journalists near the west and north of Bakhmut reported a notable decline in the intensity of Russian attacks last week. Neither side has full control of the eastern city and both have suffered heavy losses. The head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group acknowledged the fighting had inflicted severe damage on his own forces as well as the Ukrainian side. Although, the ratio of Russian to Ukrainian deaths on the Eastern Front has reached as high as 10-1, according to Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Defense. Hanna Maliar stressed this was not the case every day, but said Russian losses are many times greater than Ukrainian, in a Telegram post. Her comments come after Britain's Defense Secretary, Ben Wallace, said more than 220,000 Russian troops and mercenaries have been killed or injured in Ukraine. He said Vladimir Putin's troops were making almost no progress whatsoever and suffering huge casualties. The Russian forces have some really significant and deep systemic problems at the moment in their efforts, Mr. Wallace said. The latest U.S. assessments I have seen now put casualty figures over 220,000 of dead or injured. In February, British intelligence said Russia and its private military contractor forces had likely suffered between 175,000 to 200,000 casualties since the start of the invasion in February 2022, meaning there has been an increase of at least 20,000 since then. They added this likely included between 40,000 and 60,000 killed.